Season 6, however many episodes it is, till the end of the episode, and then the off-season. Take 1. What is good, everybody? My name is Jake, and welcome back to the One Take series, where we take one chance to reflect on the day. No second chances, no third chances, one take, and one take only. It's been a while since I've done this. Alright, so basically, I know it's been a hot minute. I'm pretty sure I've only recorded 3 episodes in this One Take season so far. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what the rest of my semester looked like and what I plan to do going forward, right? So the thing is that semester 6 was probably a foil semester to my semester 5, right? For those of you who don't really know me, you can go back and maybe watch some of the videos, but actually I won't have you do that. So basically what we do here is I only gave myself one chance to actually speak at the camera and talk to you guys as if you were a real person and I was trying to recap with you, right? So the thing is that way back when, right, I had a bad GPA, made one take, and it got me back on my feet, right? And so ever since then, I've kind of been using it intermittently to try and get my life back on track and keep it on track in general, right? So the thing about my current state, right, is that back in what I call season 5, aka my 5th semester of school, I played it a little more like Yang, right? Which in this case is, by the way, I am Christian. I know that it is a part of Taoism, but I think it's just a cool way of symbolizing things. So that's why I'm using it here, right? So back in season 5, let me tell you about my 5th semester. For those of you who don't feel like watching anything else, which fair enough. I mean, most of you probably just met me. So back in season 5, the thing is that I was on a bit of a revenge arc, right? Because back in semester 4, there was this one class that I took called Basic Circuits, and I remember it was a 5-credit class that I sank all of my energy into, and I still got a B. I barely got a B. It was an 89%. If I got one more right in the final, I would have gotten an A in the class, and it would have massively boosted my GPA. That sent me into a bit of a villain arc and a bit of a villain descent to where I went into season 5, right? Where basically I had some of the hardest classes that I've still had to date all lined up one after another, right? But what I did was I went on the hyper aggressive, right? I started going for research. I started going for way more academics. I started basically going so aggressive and leaning so into that academic and career element that I started to really lose myself, right? So I would say that season 5 is very much the yin side of life, right? So the thing is that back in season 5, it was just a thing where I had 10 concepts, right? 10 things that I wanted to really do throughout the semester that ranged from obviously academics, research, applying for internships, you got music, you got One Take, which is this channel, and you basically just got a bunch of things that I really wanted to do to either make money or just better myself, right? The thing is that the ballad of season 5 was essentially that even though I had all these 10 things that I wanted to do and that I wanted to do them all in one day or just do some of each in one day, the harsh reality is that at the end of the day, you can't do everything in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's where the saying comes from. But what got interesting is that I started off with 10 interests that I wanted to do, and slowly, one by one, I realized that if I had to get good at academics, that I had to slim down the list to the point where academics was the only thing left. And it worked. At the end of the day, I did get good grades in classes. I got only A's and B's. I got one of the best GPAs that I've gotten in college to date. And I will look back and say that I've put all of my effort, I put all my eggs in one basket, and to some degree it paid off, right? But that's not exactly how I wanted to live life. I didn't want to live a life of just being completely my nose in the books and my nose completely in work, because that's not really what life is about. Especially because, me personally, I am a Christian, right? And I think just this goes for anybody with your own religion. I feel like once you get to the point where you sacrifice everything for something like academics, that almost becomes your religion. And that's not really the future that I wanted to move myself into, which led us to season 6, right? The way that I would describe season 5 is that it was work hard, play hard, with absolutely no time for play. Season 6 was quite the opposite. Season 6 is where I entered something that I like to call the dark playground. Right? There's a TED Talk, you might have seen it, I'll probably link it in this video, that basically is talking about procrastination, right? The thing about procrastination is that when you're procrastinating, it feels good in the moment and it doesn't later, right? You can imagine it as there's two circles, one with like the thing that you should be doing, and then one with the thing that you're doing right now, right? So there's the pain of the thing that you have to do, which is, I'm going to call this dot on the left, and the thing that you should be doing, which is this one right now. The pain of not doing what you have to right now is tame, which means that you could just ignore it and you could feel the thing that's less pain because right now it's beneficial to you. But the thing is that the more and more you procrastinate, the more and more you let it get to the deadline, the pain of waiting to do the assignment becomes greater than doing the assignment itself, to the point where you do the assignment itself. And that's how the loop of procrastination starts. When you do things that are supposed to be downtime as you procrastinate, you enter something that the TED Talk talks about called the dark playground, which basically means that you're having fun even though you really shouldn't be, which deteriorates that feeling of you having fun. And that is pretty much where I spent all of season 6, because I would essentially have 2 days off out of the week, which means I would only be going to class 3 days of the week because I could do the other 2 days of the week from home. And that led to a very dangerous combination where I sacrificed everything in this season, including my social life, and then when I finally got to season 6, when I finally thought I could relax, I ended up sacrificing the one thing that I had left from season 5, which was academics. And because I sacrificed that one thing, I had an identity crisis, completely and 100%. Season 6 was really a time where I struggled to get out of bed. I didn't feel like going to class. I genuinely, there were some days where I woke up and I just started crying because the day just started. Like, that's actually genuinely how bad it got, right? Regardless of how dark I explained it, there is some benefit to these seasons, because season 5 is delayed gratification at its finest, maximum sacrifice for some reward, whereas season 6 was no sacrifice but no reward. And both of those are equally dangerous with each other, which is exactly what brings me to yin and yang, and exactly what brings me to what I did this off-season, or summer break, and how I plan to incorporate it into season 7, which is the upcoming semester. Basically, essentially, season 6 ended with me realizing that in order to be successful, I needed to combine these two sides. I needed to combine the yin with the yang. And so, how exactly do I plan to do this? Well, I think a big thing that I'm going to start doing, number one, is that I'm going to get all my work done at school. I don't know what it took me. I don't know how it took me 3 years to realize this, but school and campus is a time for work, and when I get home, I just want to do nothing. I want to either do nothing or I want to do something productive, right? Whether that's applying for internships, whether that's doing research or projects from home, or whether that's just doing things like one take, doing things like music, doing things where I can actually enjoy myself, right? And not feel guilty about it because work is done, right? And that's, I feel like, especially something that I want to do as I'm transitioning into the adult world, right? Currently, I don't know necessarily whether I want to go for a master's degree or whether I want to go for just out into the workforce, right? Because currently I am an engineering major. And so I really could go either direction. I don't think I'm going to have too much trouble getting into the workforce, even though I don't have any internship experience. I feel like I do have projects, and I do treat school enough like a job in order to actually get into the workforce, right? And that's especially when I want to focus on this senior year, is making sure that I treat being a student like a job, right? Even though a student is a job, I know that it is actually a thing, but like when I'm working on projects in lab, or like whether I'm working on senior design, right? I'm going there and I'm doing things like a corporate environment, like I would in a corporate environment, right? Because that's what people hiring me would want to look for, right? They're like, well, you don't have any internship experience. I'm like, well, yeah, the reason why is because, first of all, I needed to make the sacrifice. I had to choose between internships and focusing on academics, and I chose academics. But at the end of the day, is like, I would be excited to work for whoever wants to work with me. Not only that, but I feel like spending more time on academics also helps me understand the root material even more, right? I feel like that was one thing. I know I'm going to be using one class a lot in particular that I feel like I wouldn't understand as much, even though I did apply to a good amount of internships. If I applied to even more, if I went all in on that one thing, then I don't know if it would have been as beneficial to me, right? So at the end of the day, it really is just trying to find not only the balance of these wildly two opposing forces, but also just trying to find times to go on the offensive and times to go on the defensive, right? Because like I said, in your day-to-day life, you're not doing both of them at the same time, or you're not doing both of them equally on the same given day, any given day. You can go from the first day of the week, which has you going on the offensive and getting everything done and boom, 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 and then by the time you get to day 5, that aggressiveness already came through, which means that by day 5, all you have to do is really take a look at what you did, and you're like, okay, now is the time for peace. Now is the time for reckoning to get back into where you were. And that's exactly why this summer, listen, I might not have gotten an internship as I really planned, right? But at the end of the day, I think this summer is exactly what I needed, right? It was a time to build my resume. It was a time to work on projects, and it was a time to rediscover who I was. And I feel like that was really important for me in my journey because engineering, it's fulfilling, it's satisfying, it's everything you want it to be, but at the end of the day, if you don't have something outside of engineering, if you don't have that space outside of engineering, you get lost in the thing and you get lost in yourself. So, I mean, that's pretty much everything from here to here. If you want more details, basically, just a lot of hangouts with friends, a lot of making music, playing basketball, which I don't really do. Kind of like ukulele as well, just a lot of things and also work as well. I feel like it was just a good mix of everything that I kind of needed to bring myself down to earth, and like it finally felt like for the first time in 3 years, ever since I started college, I could actually take some time to freaking breathe and relax, because that was one thing that I mentioned back in season 5. At the end of season 5 was that I overworked myself. I was going into overtime. I was working double overtime just trying to get this and trying to add my job as well. And then by the time you got to season 6, right, winter break was so hectic that I didn't even have time to decompress in between these two. So just taking the last 3 months to just really like breathe and pause and look around and appreciate life is what I needed, and now I'm here. So what did we learn from this summer and from the rest of season 6? Well, we learned to take a look around every once in a while, as Ferris Bueller once said, because if you don't, then you're going to miss life and you're going to miss out on the beautiful things of life. We also learned that overcorrections are real, right? Because that's what I saw. As I saw season 5, and I saw I don't want to go in this direction, so I overcorrected, went in this direction, and then also got into a place that I didn't want to work out. Now, I'll be completely honest. Every time that I've ended a semester, there's always a part of me that's a little dissatisfied. And I think that's a little bit of me, right? And I think that's a little bit of what makes me so successful. Is like, the job is never 100% done, regardless of what it is. Whether that's the works of God, whether that's engineering, whether that's music, whether that's whatever it is, right? It's not over until, like, I am in my grave and I am up talking to God, right? And He is on Judgment Day, basically just, like, deciding my fate, right? It's not over till it's over, and that's what I just have to accept at the end of the day. I'm going into season 7 knowing that I'm probably not going to get a satisfying ending, and I'm definitely not going to get everything that I want. I'm not going to get everything that I want, but you know what we can do? We can get as many things as we aim for, and as many things as we try to get. Because by trying to do, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm yapping at this point. Basically what I'm trying to say is that if we combine these two things, I truly believe we will set ourselves up for the perfect semester, or at least as close to perfect as we can possibly get. We combine the drive and the discipline of season 5, and if we combine that with the taking some time, just quiet time for yourself, then we're good. Then we're good. So I'm gonna leave it at that before I keep on yapping. And we'll see how it goes. The semester doesn't start for another week, but I want to just talk about. Wow, that was very, very nice of me. Definitely didn't lose some more there. Let's see. The semester doesn't start for another week, but I got to think about how I want to play this next week before school starts. I'm going to keep making one takes just in case, even though there's probably not going to be anything substantial to really document. But there are a few things that I maybe want to talk about before then, right? Because I have a few goals for myself. I did one of those stupid videos where you record yourself and you're basically sending a letter to yourself in the future. You're pre-recording a conversation for yourself. There were a few things that I wanted to accomplish 1 year from the time that I recorded the video. I can't remember exactly what those were, but I remember some of them. There were 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. There was a certain amount of followers/subscribers for one take. That's philosophical journey or whatever. There's this one thing that I wanted to do where I want to interview teachers with me. And there's basically just goals that I want to accomplish, right? How can I accomplish those goals is probably what I'm going to approach. One of the things I'm going to approach the most across this next week. What I'm also going to approach the most is things such as work and things such as LinkedIn, right? Beefing up my LinkedIn profile and really getting ready to apply. And honestly, I've already started applying because I'm not messing around, and I will try to get either a job or an internship as soon as possible. Listen, it's not that I'm desperate to land something. It's not that I'm desperate at all, but what I'm saying is I want to cast as wide of a net as possible, and I want to apply as soon as possible to really increase my odds, and I really want to get into it, right? I really want to start cold applying with emails. I really want to, I don't think that was not cold applying with emails. I want to cold email people. I want to connect. I'm hungry. And listen, I know this hunger is probably going to go away in the next 2 weeks when I'm already blah, 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 blah. So if I'm hungry now, then let's start now. What are we waiting for? Let's go. Let's do it now. Let's get ready. So that way, when the semester starts and I'm already settling into my new classes and everything and yada, 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 we can just go and we can beeline it. This time, I'm not making the same mistakes that I did semester 5 and semester 6. I'm going to make mistakes, and that's completely fine. But I've made my fair share of mistakes that I've made in those seasons/semesters, and this one is completely new. So let's see where it takes me. This is Jake, and I forgot how do I end it. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys again in the next video. Cut.